What's good, everybody? My name is Sway, and we're back talking NFL Pick'ems Week 15. There's only a month left of football, and then we got playoffs. So let's see if I can finish off strong. Last week I went 9-4. I'm just going to give you a quick rundown on who my picks were last week, let you know which ones I got wrong, and hopefully I can do better this week. So starting off last week with the Thursday night game, Packers and Lions. Great game. Lions came away with the win in the end. I did pick Green Bay because that's exactly what I envisioned that Green Bay was going to end up doing, stealing one at the end, but they choked. Lions got the win. Next up, Steelers and Browns. The Steelers ended up winning without George Pickens. I thought it was going to be a closer game, but the Browns didn't look very good that day and they lost. Moving on to the Saints and Giants. Giants had a chance to win it on the last play of the game. Field goal was blocked and the Saints got the win. Moving on to the Jets and Dolphins. The Jets blew it again. It looked like they were going to win. They should have won. Dolphins ended up tying the game, went into overtime, and they won it in OT. Next up, Jags and Titans. We know both teams aren't very good, but I thought the Titans were going to win this one at home, and they didn't. The Jags got the win. Moving on to the Falcons and Vikings. The Vikings blew them out at home. I thought Kirk Cousins was going to have a better game, but he ended up throwing two crucial picks, and they got blown out. Moving on to the Panthers and Eagles. Damn, I thought the Panthers were going to pull out the win on the road, but Xavier Legette dropped the pass towards the end of the game, and the Eagles ended up getting the win. Moving on to the Raiders and Bucks. Raiders lost Aiden O'Connell for the year, and the Bucks blew them out at home. Moving on to the Seahawks and Cardinals. I thought the Cardinals were going to put up more of a fight, but the Seahawks went on the road. Zach Charbonnet had a massive game, and they won this game pretty easily. Next up, Bears and Niners. The Niners got back on track. The Bears are just not a good team no matter who their coach is. I think they just need to blow up their whole staff, bring in a whole new staff next year, and focus on getting the offensive line better for Caleb Williams. Moving on to the Bills and Rams. What can I say? Our defense didn't show up. Josh had a massive game. 6 touchdowns, 3 passing, 3 rushing, and we ended up losing by 2. Moving on to the Chargers and Chiefs. Chiefs did it again. They found another way to win the game. Down 2, last play of the game, kicks a field goal, bounces off the field goal post, still goes in. Not only did they win the game, but they won the division. And they're only going to get stronger going into the playoffs because Hollywood Brown is about to start practicing in the next week or so. And he's going to be another weapon for Pat Mahomes in the playoffs. Moving on to the Monday night game, Bengals and Cowboys. This game was closer than what I thought it was going to be. I thought the Bengals were going to handle them pretty easily, but the Cowboys, they hung in there, but the Bengals ended up getting the win at the end. So with that being said, I went 9-4. My 4 losses were the Packers, Titans, Bills, and Chargers. So let's see if I can do better this week. Starting off with the Thursday night game, Rams and Niners. I'm taking the Rams. I know the Niners got back on track this last weekend, but it was against the Bears, nothing special. So I'm taking the Rams in a close one this week. Moving on to the Sunday games. First up, Cowboys and Panthers. Panthers are at home. I'm taking the Panthers. Next up, Chiefs and Browns. Browns are not a very good team. I'm taking the Chiefs in a blowout. Next up, Dolphins and Texans. I think this is going to be a very good game. It's going to come down to the end. I am taking the Texans. They're coming off a bye week and they are at home, and I think they get the win. Next up, Bengals and Titans. Titans aren't a good team. Bengals, it's like every game from now on is a playoff game in order for them to sneak in. And I honestly think they can do it. I know they got a long shot and they need some help from the other teams, but don't sleep on the Bengals. Next up, Washington and New Orleans. I'm taking Washington. Derek Carr's out for the season. The Saints aren't a very good team. Washington's coming off a bye week, and I think they win pretty easily. Next up, crap game of the week, Jets and Jags. I know I said I wasn't going to take the Jets for the rest of the year, but I'm taking the Jets. Next up, Ravens and Giants. We know the Giants are trash. I got the Ravens by a million. Next up, Steelers and Eagles. Man, I wish George Pickens was playing in this game, but with him being out, they're just not as dangerous. So I'm going to take the Eagles at home. Next up, another big game this week. Colts at Broncos. Both fighting for a playoff spot. Broncos trying to hang on to that 7 seed, and the Colts trying to catch them, but I'm going to take the Broncos at home. Next up, Bucks and Chargers. I was going to take the Chargers, but with Justin Herbert being hurt, and even if he does play, he's not going to be 100%, so I'm taking the Bucks. Next up, Patriots and Cardinals. The Cardinals are still fighting for a playoff spot, and actually the division. They're at home. I'm taking the Cardinals. Next up, Bills and Lions. I didn't like anything about the Bills defense on Sunday, and we're playing the #1 scoring offense in the league. I'm taking the Lions, but I still think it's going to be like the Rams game. It's going to come down to the end. Next up, the Sunday night game, Packers and Seahawks. Another big game. I'm going to take the Packers in a close one. And there's a doubleheader this week for Monday Night Football. First up, Bears and Vikings. Again, we know the Bears aren't a good team. I'm taking the Vikes in a blowout. And the other game, Falcons and Raiders. The Falcons are still fighting for a playoff spot. They're only one game behind the Bucks for the division. And the Raiders don't have anything to play for, so I'm going to take the Falcons. That's going to be it for me this week. Let me just give you a quick recap on who I picked. Rams, Panthers, Chiefs, Texans, Bengals, Washington, Jets, Ravens, Eagles, Broncos, Bucks, Cardinals, Lions, Packers, Vikings, and Falcons. So there's no more buys for the rest of the season. Good luck to your team this week, except if you're a Lions fan. The hell with you guys. Go Bills.